Good morning, welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. Today is Friday, TGIF. It is February the 27th, and we're here to look at the rest of the cozy mysteries that were published in this week. There's a lot of them, so we won't be doing any dilly-dally lollygagging. Elena says, good morning. Well, good morning, Elena. How you doing? She says, I am good. Oh, good to hear. I went to go see 21 Pilots movie 2 days ago at Topanga Mall on the second floor, and my mom got me the 21 Pilots merch 2 days after the movie. Oh, how wonderful. Elena says, I'm going to make myself some coffee and a latte coffee. Well, that's a good way to start the morning. Wake up. All right, let's jump in. This is where we left off. Last Respects by Paula Lester, 6th in the Afterlife Files. We're going to be almost fast and furious here. We're just going to read a paragraph or two, not the whole things, because there's so many. Funerals are supposed to be the end of the story. For investigative journalist Edgar Cross, they're only the beginning. When Edgar dies under suspicious circumstances, the town is determined to call it an accident and bury it fast. City Hall controls the narrative, the obituary, even the guest list. But funeral director Ren Grimm knows better. One brush of empathic contact tells her the truth. Edgar was betrayed, and someone powerful is terrified of what he uncovered. Scones and Sabotage by Wendy Meadows, 11th in the Snow Falls, Alaska Cozy Mysteries. Bethany Lights isn't looking for adventure, she's looking for quiet. 41 days of it inside an Antarctic research station so isolated it might as well be on the moon. After too many murders chasing her through Alaska, she'll happily trade her cozy kitchen for endless ice if it means a little peace. But Arctic Cove Station isn't the retreat Dr. Sheila Page promised. The steel hallways feel wrong, the coffee tastes off, and when a hidden door reveals a frozen corpse, Bethany's hopes for a relaxing winter getaway shatter faster than thin ice under a polar bear. Kill One, Pearl Two by R.A. Muth, 2nd in Serial Knitters series. I thought owning a yarn shop would help me get better deals on my favorite luxury blends. Haha. Instead, I'm spending my days protecting high-end inventory from a clever thief who seems to know exactly which skeins are worth stealing. It's not that I'm the police prime suspect this time, which is a nice change, but watching someone systematically rob the shop I inherited from my late friend rattles differently. This is my community's business, and when the police investigation stalls, it's up to me to find the answers. Yo. Brutality on the Beach, 4th in the Max's Campsite Mysteries by Tyler Rhodes. When Max and Min wake up to find themselves on a deserted beach with no idea how they got there, and the certain feeling they've been drugged then kidnapped, it's obvious they're in for a rough morning. Without even time for poached eggs, on sourdough of course, they're knee-deep, not only in the sea, but in a gruesome murder mystery too. Thankfully, Anxious is alive and kicking and mostly at the scorching sand. Saved from sunburn and dehydration by friendly locals, it soon becomes apparent that the dead lady had more skeletons in her closet than Max had fireballs. But nobody's prepared to discuss it with the out-of-towners, let alone the local detectives. Well, where did the dead lady come from? And I forgot to click on it. We'll give it its moment. End of that row. And Elena had said 21 Pilots was awesome. Good to hear. Amy says, hi everyone. Hello. That is so cool, Elena. And Mary says, good morning, PK, Elena, Angel, and everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Hydrangeas, Hoodwinks, and Havoc, 10th in the Thorn Sisters Sleuths Cozy Mystery Series by D.G. Thomas. Bloomwood is seeing green, and not just from shamrocks and hydrangeas. As the town gears up for its annual St. Patrick's Day festival, sisters Iris and Poppy Thorn are up to their elbows in emerald-tinted blooms at Blossom and Thorn Flower Shop. Their biggest honor yet, designing the festival's show-stopping floral horseshoe arch and parade float centerpiece. But when the festival's beloved Grand Marshal, local pub owner Declan Callahan, is found dead behind his bar, the luck of the Irish runs out fast. Beep. Sorry. Marie says, just one more subscriber and you'll hit 500. Woohoo! Thank you, indeed. We'll see. We'll see when it happens. Murder at Sweetheart Spa by Lila Blue, 6th in the Silver Pines Mysteries. Claire Garner thinks a Galentine's getaway at Sweetheart Spa is exactly what she needs. Relaxation, chocolate treats, and a little peace. Instead, a fellow guest turns up decidedly unrelaxed, or I would say extremely relaxed. With rose petal facials giving way to red herrings and the local police eager to blame outsiders, Claire and Susie dive into a mystery full of secrets, sabotage, and heart-shaped clues. Murder at the Homecoming by Maren Allingham, 13th in the Floresdale Mysteries. Sussex, 1960. Flora and Jack are delighted to be invited to the welcome party for Ambrose Finch's long-lost son, finally back home after disappearing 10 years ago. They're eager to meet the young man they've heard so much about, and perhaps learn why he left in the first place. But when Ambrose's maid goes to fetch the cake from the kitchen, her screams interrupt his big toast. Flora and Jack are horrified to find the cook hired for the occasion lying unmoving on the flagstone floor. The sickly sweet smell of cyanide is their only clue, but the poor cook had no enemies, etc. I would say that's more something along the lines of the prodigal son. But it was the cook. Plays with Fire by Carolyn L. Dean, 2nd in the Troublemaker Club. Margaritas, a break from small-town gossip, time with her new friends. Jessica Winters thought solving a murder would earn her a little peace and quiet, but the small-town life in Hazenville has other plans. Dubbed the Troublemaker Club by nosy neighbors and local gossip mongers, Jessica and her new friends decide they've earned a break. A weekend getaway in a secluded cabin, complete with a crackling fire pit, gourmet kitchen, and steaming hot tub. Sounds like the perfect escape. Until it isn't. When tempers flare, secrets spark, and danger flickers at the edge of the woods, Jessica realizes their relaxing retreat has turned into something far more sinister. Someone out there is playing with fire, and if Jessica doesn't figure out who, the next story the town tells might be a tragedy. See, if you didn't leave town, you wouldn't deal with that. Stay home. End of that row. Garter's Ghost and Wedding Toast by Angie Fox, 15th in the Southern Ghost Hunter Mysteries. Ghost Hunter Verity Long has 48 hours to plan her sister's dream wedding on a budget that wouldn't even cover the cake. The venue? A stunning Irish manor in Jackson, Tennessee. If you're on that much of a budget, you go to Town Hall, people. Enemy territory for any self-respecting citizen of Sugarland, but the place is perfect, the photos are free, and Melody is over the moon. There's just one tiny catch. 2 dead grooms 50 years apart, and Alec's timing, it couldn't be worse. Murder at the Rudbattle Castle by A.S. McClatchy, 2nd in the Cranshire Mysteries. Darius Beckett, the handsome star of Rudbattle Castle's popular joust performance, is found dead in the jester's tent just as he's about to perform. With the sword plunged into his chest, there's no doubt that it was murder, but who would want to kill him? Even stranger, his towering gray stallion Prince is missing. Within hours of the murder, Will Blackburn, the master swordsmith, is arrested. Whilst Leo's superiors are happy to call it a job well done, he's not sure they have the right man, and what happened to Prince. With this case being shelved, despite his doubts, Leo calls in Holly, hoping her thorough research and knack for getting people to talk will help save the day once more. Death at the Dock by Carmen Radke, third in the Alyssa Chalmers historical mystery series. 1862. A new home in a prospector's town, a new life, and two steadfast admirers. Alyssa Chalmers' future is secure among her friends. But when Captain Moore sends a message begging for her help, she can't say no. With the doctor and the first officer by her side, she travels to Portland, Oregon. She finds a situation worse than she feared. Two of the captain's crew have gone missing, and the local marshal is adamant they simply jump ship. Even the discovery of a body is unable to change his mind. Captain Moore knows better. He's convinced that something sinister is going on, and he needs sharp-witted Alyssa and her sleuthing partners to figure it out. Murder at Hawthorne Hall by Olivia Rose, 7th in the Lady Elizabeth Hawthorne Mysteries. Birthright, Bigamy, and Betrayal. When a mysterious claimant arrives at Hawthorne Hall declaring himself the rightful heir, Aunt Beatrice's world crumbles. His evidence of her late husband's previous marriage threatens everything she holds dear, her family, her home, and 4 decades of devoted widowhood. But when the claimant is found murdered, Aunt Beatrice becomes the prime suspect. Trapped between family loyalty and mounting evidence, Elizabeth races to uncover the truth about her Uncle Arthur's past, and soon discovers even the most steadfast love can hide the darkest secrets. End of that row. Keeping an eye on the clock, we might have to do drive-bys. A Sticky End. Mary says, no big weekend plans for me. All right. I like those kind of plans. Do any of you have some fun things to do this weekend? Just the sprints, playing with yarn, not being at work. Sticky End, that's a good question. Erin Scott is the author, 15th in the Stony Brook Mysteries. Hadley Fenton is on cloud 9. Her very own Pretty Jam Good cookbook is being published. When her publisher sends a marketing executive to Stony Brook to help her prepare for the launch, Hadley feels like she needs to pitch herself to make sure she's not dreaming. But Jess Stokes is more like a nightmare. The marketing director seems to hate Hadley, Stony Brook, and the cookbook she's supposed to help launch. Hadley even catches her trying to convince her boss to prematurely cancel Hadley's second print run, stating that the book is going to flop. So when Jess turns up dead, hit on the head with one of Pretty Jam Good's copper pots, all eyes are on Hadley. The truth, however, is more complex than any of them could have imagined, etc. Recipes included holiday plum butter sweetened with honey and cherry rhubarb jam with ginger and honey. Good Lord, that's a title. You need to shorten that. One Dog and a Whole Lot of Murder by Rodney Strong, 2nd in the Nicolette Briggs Mysteries. On the surface, it seems like any easy care for private investigator Nicolette. It seems like an easy case for private investigator Nicolette Briggs. Retrieve a stolen dog from her client's ex-husband, Richard Townsend, but things are never that easy. Soon the husband ends up dead, and the dog is nowhere to be found. To make matters worse, Nicolette is accused by the police of being involved in the murder. But Richard Townsend was a con artist, leaving a trail of victims behind him, and there's no shortage of suspects, etc. Outlaw by Sarah Woodbury, 6th in the Welsh Guard Mysteries. This one I've not read, but it intrigues me. Having crossed the border into Wales once again, King Edward is on a mission. Outlaws have settled in the countryside around the Cistercian Abbey of Valle Crucis, and he's determined to root them out. Little does he know that they have plans for him as well, not because they seek justice for the Welsh people, but because they seek it for themselves. But so when a young monk turns up dead among a ceremony to venerate the piece of the true cross, the last holy relic King Edward had appropriated from the Welsh, Rhys and Catrin are tasked not only with trying to solve the murder, but with keeping the cross safe from outlaws. And maybe from King Edward too, it says. I used to read a lot more medieval historical mysteries. I've gotten away from it. Fuchsias and Forgery by Lena Turner and Elsie Turner. I think it's the same author, but they've listed it here twice. By Lena Turner. 11th in the Pedal Pushers Flower Shop Cozy Mysteries. Life is usually peaceful in Hunter's Hollow until counterfeit cash starts popping up around town. When fake $20 bills begin circulating and threatening the livelihoods of local business owners, Presley Sands, owner of Pedal Pusher's Flower Shop, knows something isn't right. Things turn personal when her favorite restaurant is hit and her friend Angie becomes the bank's prime suspect. End of that row. Four more. We're not going to make it, but we will try. A Honeycomb to Die For by E. Hazard, 6th in the Velvet Scone Mysteries. Greed can be sticky, murder even stickier. Autumn arrives in Willoughby and the Golden Harvest Market is buzzing with excitement. Local beekeepers are preparing for the annual Honey Showdown, and Tamsin Blake is ready to debut her honey lavender scones using a gift from her kindly neighbor, reclusive apiarist Murray Wood. But when Murray fails to appear at his usual stall and is later found dead in his shed, apparently stung to death, yuck, panic spreads as fast as spilled honey. The scene doesn't add up. Murray's protective suit is untouched, several hives are missing, and rumors swirl of someone stealing bees at night. Determined to protect her community and their cafe's Bee Sweet Week, Tamsin begins to investigate and discovers Murray had more than a few enemies. Cat and Mouse by Sarah Christine, 10th in the Twilight Hollow Witchy Cozy Mysteries. Roses and Rituals and Red Velvet Cake. Love is in the air, at least commercialized version of it, and it wouldn't be Twilight Hollow without a festival to commemorate the occasion. Other than a grumpy feline, everything goes smoothly until Logan sees something he shouldn't. Now Addie has to juggle her business, a binding, and worst of all, her family's opinions on the matter. Worse still, Addie's old enemy has been watching her, and he has killed again. Will she and Spooky figure out who the murderer is in time to save Logan? A Dowager is Done In by Helen Golden, 3rd in the Duchess of Stotford Mysteries. Hampshire, 1891. 6 months into widowhood, Alice, Duchess of Stortford, is restless. Black gowns and seclusion in the country have their limits. Honey, you got 2 years of that. So when Clarissa, Dowager Duchess of Romley, sends a personal summons asking for her discreet assistance with a troubling matter at Lawrence House, Alice seizes the excuse for a change of scene. But what happens at a family gathering to welcome home the Dowager's once disgraced son ends in shock. Clarissa is discovered dead, her passing swiftly dismissed as a heart attack. Alice knows better. The Dowager had been afraid and had trusted her to uncover the truth. Someone silenced her, but why? Was it to do with the announcement she made over dinner, or something even more dangerous? I don't know, that cover is kind of too cartoony. No Picnic, an Appalachian town diner cozy mystery. Ginny Dove, a military widow, runs the Paisley Apron Diner in the small town of Sweet Springs, Virginia, located amid the picturesque Blue Ridge Mountains. She's drawn into the homicide investigation when Hoyt Dunbar, a local roofer, is found murdered. Along with her patient mother Marge and her irrepressible Aunt Cricket, Ginny sets out to learn what happened to Hoyt. I think there's more to the series, but it doesn't say. End of that row. Mary says, what am I currently crocheting these days? Well, I'm tackling a Celtic camp sampler. Oops, just right. Oh, this is the wrong side. Here we go. Following a YouTube step-by-step thing. All new stitches to me, so it's kind of fun. Are you back to beading? You said you took a break. I did notice that my bluebird nesting box is busy. They are flitting in and out, very busy, excited about that. And I think the finches wrens are back nesting near my front door. Spring is springing. Fabulous. We've had such mild weather, I've been very concerned that birds are thinking it's spring, but we're not there yet. Still only February. Jealousy and Jinxes by Tammy Tyree and Chloe Hale, 10th in the, oops, we're going to have to do drive-bys. in the Corpse Collector Cozy Mystery Series. Nope. Dead to Rights by Patty Larson, 19th in the White Witch Island Paranormal Cozies. Sorry about that. And it got it all messed up. A Deadly Plot by Karen McInerney, 5th in the Snug Harbor Mysteries. Dead and Misled by Tegan Mayer, 1st in the Gulf Coast Reaper Mysteries. Lots of purple on that one. Marmalade and the Skeleton in the Stacks by R.E. Merrill, 2nd in the Jailhouse Cat Cozy Mysteries. Every Which Way But Juno by K.E. O'Connor, 19th in the Magical Misfits Mysteries. Now that's a big cat. Destination New York by Anne Shepard, 4th in the Destination Murder Mysteries. Final Script by P.J. Skinner, 12th in the Sea Castle Mysteries. It's a pretty green. Murder She Sang by Julie Titterington, 2nd in the Dog Ladies Mysteries series. The Horned One's Secret by Alex Wagner, 12th in A Case for the Master Sleuths. Interesting title. Shadows and Spells by Allie Catt and Tasha Oakwood, 5th in A Witches of Willowbark Cozy Mysteries. Last one. The Girl and the Gravedigger by Oliver Potch and Lisa Reinhardt is the translator, 2nd in a Leopold von Hertzfeldt case. And that is it for this week. About 55 of them. 50. Look at all those. These were all published this week. It's like the publisher said, crap, we needed to publish those this week. This month. We forgot. Put them all in the last week. It's just beautiful. No, I just followed the steps. I think it's a fun blanket though, thank you. Ray says, thanks, good to see everyone this morning and hope everyone has a great weekend. See you on Monday. We'll back at you, baby. Enjoy perhaps a very relaxing, quiet weekend. I love those kind. Amy says, wow, that is a lot of new releases. Yeah, absolutely. Crazy. But we did it. We looked at them. We at least touched on each one. All right, everybody, have a good Friday. No sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday night. Our next sprints are tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern. Go for 5 hours. And Amy says, have a good day, everyone, and see you all this weekend. Absolutely. Back at you, baby. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a good Friday. Read good books. Relax, because it's almost the weekend. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om nom nom. Have a good day. God bless.